Well, my friends, a list came out this morning of all the times Kamala Harris has flip-flopped on different policies, so I decided to print them all out and put them in a binder. This is my folder of Kamala's flubs, flip-flops, and failures, Volume 1. We would have done Volume 2, but we already cut down half the trees in the rainforest for this part. If flip-flopping on policy was an Olympic sport, Kamala Harris would have a gold medal. She flip-flops so much, I call her Miss Chanclas. If you don't know what chanclas means, ask the Venezuelans in Aurora, Colorado. Kamala's flip-flopping is so bad, journalists say they are reading tea leaves to figure out what her policies are. I don't want to have to read tea leaves. You're one heartbeat away from the presidency. We're less than 2 months from the election. Tell us where you stand. We should not have to call Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, to figure out what Kamala's policies are. I'm getting a ban on fracking. I'm getting a price capping coming in. I'd also like to point out we still don't have a policy section on Kamala's website. There's not a policy in sight. Many Americans want to print them out, look at them, sit around the kitchen table and say, how is this person going to enrich my life? There are millions of Americans for whom English is their second language. They might like to print out the policy, see a translation, and also ask the same questions. Kamala, she's lazy. She doesn't want to do any of that. Now, what really confuses me is that in Kamala Harris's calamitous CNN interview, she said, my values haven't changed. My values have not changed. So what does that mean? Do you still want to ban fracking if you become president? Do you still want to do price capping on groceries? What's going on? Do you want worldwide famine, locusts, monsoons? Kamala, let me know. The one policy Kamala supported a few years ago that I could never get behind is banning plastic straws. I am sorry that sweet little sea turtle got the straw stuck in its nose a few years ago. That's terrible, it's unfortunate, it's tragic, but the fact of the matter is, if you make me use a flimsy little paper straw that gets soggy in my mouth after 5 minutes, Kamala, we're gonna have a problem. Kamalamity, if you're listening, please, I will give you open borders. I will give you your pseudo-communist price capping policies that will never pass, but please, don't take my plastic straws. Going back to Kamala flip-flopping for a second, imagine trying to date Kamala Harris. You'd be like, babe, where do you want to go for dinner? She will change her mind 50 times on the way to Ruby Tuesdays. Kamala Harris flip-flops so much, she's so indecisive, nobody knows where she stands because she can only get the courage to do an interview once every 40 days on a friendly network. What's going to happen in the Situation Room when Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, President Xi try to start something and she's got 6 minutes to make a decision? The last thing I'll say is this. You guys know I call it like I see it on both sides of the aisle. I'm not owned by the RNC, the DNC. The only thing I'm beholden to is the truth. And yes, Donald Trump has evolved his views over the last few years as well on several issues. The difference here is very stark. When you go to Donald Trump's website, he has a 16-page PDF with his entire policy proposal. He sits down for interviews almost every single day. Kamala, we can't ask her questions. We're 2 months out from the election. We have no idea where she stands on many major issues. This is terribly concerning. All right, thanks for liking and following.
Yeah, so you heard that there. We got to talk about Kamala, the flip-flopper. The flip-flopper. Kamala the flip-flopper. Because, you know, and he touched on it there in that clip. It's not even necessarily about her flipping, right, on different things, because Trump has as well. But she's hiding. So we aren't allowed to really ask her the questions over and over the same way Trump is to see if she kind of flips again, you know? She did the one scripted interview that was taped and like half of it was cut out, but that's all she's been doing is flip-flopping on everything. And I'm gonna get to the CNN clip a little bit later because CNN actually called her out on something absolutely major, but I think what she's doing is going to absolutely backfire, and I'll get to that later in the video, but check out this video clip of her just flip-flopping on everything, because she knows it's extremely unpopular. What she has been saying, her, you know, party leaders, right, because she ain't the party leader, have been telling her, this ain't popular, so we got to get you in the White House, and then you can come back out with these policies. Check it out.
And it does contradict some of your prior positions. Among them, you used to oppose the legalization of marijuana, now you don't. You used to oppose outside investigations of police shootings, now you don't. You've said that you changed on these and other things because you were, quote, swimming against the current, and thankfully the currents have changed. But when you had the power, why didn't you try to effect change then?
And there have been many distortions of my record. Let me be very clear. I made a decision that if I was going to have the ability to reform the system, I would try to do it from the inside. Was I able to get enough done? Absolutely not.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, there is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020.
The fact check bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here, in your policy? Should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
Yeah. So obviously that was edited. It was chopped up, as you guys saw the edits, the cuts and everything. Because I'm not about to watch that entire interview again. It was absolutely garbage in my humble opinion. But like I said, I believe her party leaders told her, hey, these aren't popular positions. You're going to have to change that, especially if you're going to win Pennsylvania. You can't say you're going to ban fracking. You got to pull back on that. That just is what it is. That you're going to have to say that you're not going to ban fracking. But do I believe her? No. And I don't think the American people do either. Right? And I'm going to get to that later in the video. But what I do want to get to is the fact that she's the flip-flopper, and CNN actually called her out on it and exposed the lies that she's been telling. Check out this clip from CNN. I'm actually pretty surprised CNN did this.
Tonight, K-File investigates. In a new report you'll see first out front, the K-File team scoured Kamala Harris's tweets and statements going all the way back to 2017. And what they found was more than 50 instances of Harris slamming Trump's border wall. But now, new Harris campaign ads actually showcase that very wall.
As a border state prosecutor, she took on drug cartels and jailed gang members for smuggling weapons and drugs across the border.
And on top of critical tweets, Harris also wrote in her 2019 book, quote, there was a bigger reason to oppose the border wall. A useless wall on the southern border would be nothing more than a symbol, a monument standing in opposition to not just everything I value, but to the fundamental values upon which this country was built. How could I vote to build what would be little more than a monument designed to send the cold, hard message, keep out? Well, K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. So, Andrew, I mean, you all have gone through, scoured an incredible amount of material. Tell me more about what you found.
Yeah, that's right. We found more than 50 of those tweets criticizing the border wall before she used that in her ad. And I want people to take a look at just a few of what she said here. She called it wasteful, useless, a waste of taxpayer money, a vanity wall project, a wasteful border wall, a stupid wall, a medieval vanity project, and an unnecessary wall. And those are really just, there were more of this, just like 10 or like 50. But there was really a lot of this was the common refrain during the campaign. You read that quote where she said it was against everything that not only she stood for, everything America stood for, but and she brought this up a lot. Take a listen to just one instance of that in 2019.
It's the president's vanity project.
His multi-billion-dollar vanity project called a wall is nothing more than a distraction from the fact that he actually hasn't focused on working people in America. He contrived a national crisis around his big distraction.
All right, so you go through all of that, you've got all the tweets, and yet all of a sudden in the ads, there's pictures of the wall, and then you went through to look at that wall. Yeah. Like, what is that specific wall that's in her campaign ads now? And you found something very interesting about this specific portion of the wall.
And I think what's also really remarkable about this is, you heard her talking about it there, Trump's wall in his campaign during his presidency. There was really no greater symbol of Trump's presidency than the wall in the way that Democrats were attacking him over the wall and his restrictive immigration policies. So we looked in that ad, and if you look at it, that exact area of wall is in Sasabe, Arizona, and that is a portion of wall that was actually built by Donald Trump. It was built in an area where there was not previous wall. It was actually pretty controversial when they were building it at the time. So just to see that, and then there are other.
She's using his wall that he built to say, "Look at what I did." Basically,
and the other images of the wall, we weren't able to pinpoint, but there's telltale signs that was a Trump wall because there's an anti-climbing plate on top that became popularized during the Trump years.
It's really incredible reporting and important. All right, Andrew Kaczynski and K5.
Like, you just can't make this stuff up, man. They are trying so hard to fake this mess, man. It's just, oh, goodness gracious. I can't wait until Trump wins and he fixes all of this mess, right? Paper ballots, single day voting, right? IDs, okay? I don't care if he has to, sign a bill where American tax dollars pay for people's IDs who don't have one, right? I'm willing to do that. I'm sure you guys are, right? In exchange for single day voting, paper ballots. I'll use tax dollars to, make sure everybody has an ID that is an American citizen, right? I'm fine with that. But, yeah, this stuff has gotten ridiculous, but it's not going to work. Not in my humble opinion, right? Because we're seeing a interesting thing happen here. And I'm going to show you something from Nate Silver. Check this out. So in August 23rd, to be specific, okay, Harris was ahead, or he was forecasting that she had a 53% chance to win. Guess where that was September 6th? 61% to 38%. You want to know where that is now? Now remember, that was 61%. Now it's 64%. So it's just climbing higher and higher. And I mean, look, Nate Silver's predicting a 64% chance for Trump to win Pennsylvania, a 54% chance for Trump to win Michigan, 53% chance for him to win Wisconsin, a 77% chance for him to win Arizona, 75 for North Carolina, 68 for Georgia, and 61 in Nevada. And even the betting market has Trump ahead right now. And so, with all of that being said, yes, they're just polls, but I've also shown you guys in several videos now why I believe that to be true. And if Nate Silver is correct on his prediction, this is the map. Take a look at that. 312 to 226. That is the type of victory that I want to see put up on that scoreboard. As a matter of fact, if we could take Virginia too, which is unlikely, but I do think Virginia is slightly in play, okay? Especially with who's the governor? Youngkin? Is that Youngkin? Who's the governor of Virginia? I believe he did some things to ensure that there's no shenanigans going on in Virginia. So I 100% do believe that Virginia is in play. So if we could take that as well and bolster that up, what would that be? 325? Boy. Now that, and I said this before, that would definitely send a message to the establishment. You're done. And don't be surprised. Now, I don't have any inside evidence, right? This is just me putting two and two together. Do not be surprised if one of two things happen. If either these establishment folks start cozying up to Trump, right? Trying to get on his good side, or if they just flat out leave the country. And they use the excuse, oh, I'm retiring, I'm done with politics, it has gotten way too, toxic or something. Don't be surprised if you see something like that. And I think it's going to be for good reason, because they know what's coming, right? They know what's coming if they stayed. That's just my assumption. I don't know. But yeah. And not only that, Trafalgar is predicting that Trump will win, as well as insider advantage, and those two polls specifically, those two, organizations specifically, were accurate in 2016 and 2020. They were in the top 3 in terms of accuracy. So I don't know, guys. What are y'all thinking, man? What are y'all thinking? I think Michigan's going to be tough to win. I don't think Trump will actually win Michigan. Pennsylvania, I think he'll win. North Carolina, yes. Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Wisconsin, I feel like Wisconsin, there's a better chance for Wisconsin than Michigan. I don't know. Something about Michigan, man. I don't know. It's just, I can't give you an exact reason. It's just a gut feeling, right? It's just one of those things where I'm like, I just don't feel like he's going to win Michigan. Even though I showed you guys that video the other day of the black woman saying she was going door to door, and she was like, why are so many people voting for Trump? I don't get it. Which is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Gretchen, I believe that's the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know. I'm not trusting her. Something about her stinks. I don't know. But yeah, man, I just thought that was pretty interesting in how it's not working at all. Like, she's going the opposite direction by trying to pull this basement strategy. Oh, I'm going to hide and only do one debate and one staged or scripted, right? Pre-recorded sit-down interview. It's not working. The basement strategy that Biden used, it's not going to work this time around, in my humble opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that we should get comfortable. Get out and do your part. Get involved. Work at a polling location. Contact a guy like Scott Pressler. Okay? He actually came up with some a great idea, and that was going to like gun stores or where else did he say? Gun stores is one of them, but he was like, hey, we should be taking voter registration forms to those locations. I was like, man, that is a great idea. That is a great idea, because obviously most gun owners are Republicans. Now, that doesn't guarantee that all of them are, of course, but most are. So if you put those voter registrations in that place, possibly get some things done that way. So yeah, I think that kind of stuff is like easy, and it's a great idea, right? Share this video. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Peace and love. I'm out.